So this is a welcome letter / video from Miss Colloton. This is to help you get to know me, as well as giving you an example for when you make your own to give to me. So here we go. This is getting to know Miss Colloton. And yes, that is definitely me inside the Jane Addams building, laying on an inflatable unicorn, because I can. So a little bit about my background, where I am from. I spent most of my life in Cupertino, California. You can see that on that blue map. You may have heard of Cupertino. It's pretty famous because Apple headquarters is there. So if you've been lucky enough to ever own an Apple device and you log in, the weather is typically set to Cupertino. That's where I'm from. Those two middle pictures in that middle row are from some of my happy childhood memories in the Bay Area. The one on the left is a view of a hike looking out at the ocean nearby Santa Cruz. That's where I went to summer camp, and I eventually worked at that summer camp, and I hiked and hung out at the beach, and that was really great. And then the picture on the right is from, I knew it as AT&T or Pac Bell Park. It's now something else, but I went to San Francisco Giants games growing up with my dad and brothers, and we saw everything from Barry Bonds breaking the single season home run record to lots of World Series games and perfect games by Tim Lincecum and Madison Bumgarner, and they were very happy memories of mine. I got my bachelor's in science, my undergraduate degree from Humboldt State University, and then my master's in teaching from Seattle Pacific University. This is my adorable family. I love them so much. Starting from the left, those two little boys are my nephews. The older one is Hunter, and he just started kindergarten this year. And the little one is Ryan, and Ryan turns 1 at the end of September. The next picture is also of Hunter and Ryan, but also Hunter and Ryan's parents. So the man in that picture is my older brother, Jay, and then his wife, Adrienne. They live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The next picture over of those two distinguished older looking people are my parents, Bob and Judy. They live in California still, but no longer in Cupertino. And then on the right-hand side, that bearded gentleman giving a thumbs up sign is my little brother, Brett, and his new wife, Kate. In fact, they got married during quarantine, so we had a very tiny, socially distanced wedding for them, and then they live in Austin, Texas. So that's my little family. Also included in my family are my 2 pets. Well, the one on the left is a blue-tongued skink. It's a type of lizard, and his name is Stuart. And then the dog on the right is my dog, Trucker. Everyone guesses what kind of dog he is. I'm not really sure. He's a rescue, but he's definitely some sort of hound. So yeah, those are my pets. Some special interest / fun facts of mine is I love to hike. I really love Star Wars. If you want to debate about which Star Wars movie is the best, I will fight you for A New Hope all day long. Another fun fact is I've been at Jane Addams Middle School since it opened. I taught 6th grade my first 2 years before I moved up to the 8th grade. I love jams. I especially love coaching the JV girls soccer team, and I've even coached the JV girls basketball team in the past. Those have been really fun. I love to bake. It's one of my coping mechanisms for stress. Something about baking and following a recipe really calms me down. And then the last fun fact that I'll share with you is I love herpetology. Herpetology is the study of reptiles and amphibians, so creepy crawly things. I just think they're fascinating. So probably the most important, other than learning some fun facts about me, is learning about some of my beliefs and values around science and education. These things will influence how my class is, so that I think they're really important to know. Number 1 is that science is not about failing, it's about learning. So a lot of times when we go into science and an experiment doesn't work out or a result isn't what we expected, we think of that science as like, our initial response is like, oh, well, I failed at doing that, or oh, that experiment failed. And that's not what it is. When you make a hypothesis, it's a guess. Whether or not the data supports it is kind of up to the experiment, and you learn from what happened either way, whether your hypothesis was supported or not. And it's the same thing with taking a science class. Learning science is not about whether you get an A or whether you get an F or a not pass. It's about how much you learn and how much growth you show. And I really think that that's important to keep in mind, is if you're learning so much and you're super engaged and you enjoy it, the grade on the piece of paper doesn't matter as much as how much you've grown. The second really important thing when it comes to science class is that questions show that you're thinking about what you're learning. For some reason, middle schoolers have this idea in their head that if another student asks a question, it means that student's dumb, and that's absolutely 100% not the case. In our classroom, mine and Miss Van Moore's, what we really pride ourselves on is asking students to ask questions and really getting into those questions. We want you thinking about the content and really analyzing it. And if something doesn't make sense or piques your interest, we want you to ask questions, because the more questions you ask, the more you're going to learn, and we want you to learn as much as you can. The third thing is that the more engaged you are, the more you learn. And this is one of the reasons why I love science so much, is that science is so engaging. There's so many hands-on, working in groups, testing and experimenting going on. The more you choose to participate, the better off you're going to be. If you're one of those students that just sits back and lets things just wash over you, and you never really ask questions or answer questions, and you never really participate in the labs, science, you're not going to get as much out of it as you could if you're really actively engaging. So I'm going to challenge you guys to really actively engage in class. And lastly, is I truly believe that 8th grade should prepare you to be an independent high school student. So this year, we're going to work on a lot of skills, a lot of strategies that may feel a little uncomfortable now, that maybe aren't paying off, but they might in the future. Also, this comes to you guys, is I want you to take ownership of your learning. It's really easy to ask a friend to ask Miss Colloton something, ask your parents to ask Miss Colloton something, but I want you to stand up, and I want you to advocate for yourself and to communicate with me yourself, because I think practicing that now before you get into high school is really, really, really important. So that's it for me. It's a little bit about me. It's a little bit about how I believe class should be and how science affects you as a learner. And so I'm looking forward to seeing your videos or your letters in the assignments. And so, yeah, I'll see those, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'll see you guys in class next time.